Welcome, you have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review will be Barbarian. Let's get into it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's go over the cast. You got Georgina Campbell is the main actress in the film. Her character name is Tess. You have Bill Skarsgård. His character name is Keith. And then you have Justin Long. That wasn't in none of the trailers, but his character name is AJ. So this movie had potential, but I guess, they just, you create enough suspense, it wouldn't matter how the writing is. So, and of course you're going to always get someone to say, well, it's just a movie. But when you somebody that watch a lot of movies and then you give your opinion on reviews on movies, you look at stuff that you think that could be better. And of course, while they're writing it, it just seems like, I guess this is it. And there's probably nobody there to say, nah, but you can write this a little better here to make it more believable. So that's what you're dealing with this film. And it's also playing off the whole Airbnb. I don't know if you're somebody that's into Airbnbs. Airbnbs has always been a sketchy safety issue, because you got someone, a lot of the times that you get an Airbnb, they just leave the key in some type of pad and underneath a mat or something. They don't even greet you just to, hey, give you a walk through the house or anything. So you just booking it and you don't really know what's what. So that's, but that's the way of the people. Some people can speak highly of Airbnb. I use it all the time and I don't never have no problems. But then you got some real true live horror stories, and especially when you're dealing with coming in a town that you don't know nothing about, and especially if you have sisters, moms, girlfriend, wives, and they taking trips and they're renting Airbnbs to save a buck, and we get a whole house, and it's cheaper than getting a hotel. Yeah, everybody's always trying to go the cheap route, but sometimes you got to pay for security, So that's just my disclaimer on that. But it plays out in this movie. So you already seen the trailer. She shows up. There's a guy named Keith already booked the same Airbnb. Now Keith is very sketchy, and it's raining. He convinces her, hey, come in, it's raining, this area is not that good. She comes in the house. They try to call the number of the people who's supposed to be the management of the company, and no one answers, of course. So at this time, she's looking for a hotel. He tells her, hey, it's no hotels available, it's some type of convention. So he's real sketchy. So he convinces her to stay. Along with convincing her to stay, he's trying to get her to drink some tea. So he's very sketchy. Drink some tea. It's already a bottle of wine here, and on top of the bottle of wine, they're like, hell, you looking like, I know she's already gullible. She's coming into the house. She's drinking the wine. He's trying to get her to drink wine, trying to get her to drink tea. He's trying to drug her. So nevertheless, she doesn't go for none of it, but she agrees to come in the house. Then he convinces her, hey, you should just stay. You should just stay, and I'll sleep on the floor. But in the process of that, she took a shower. She want to wash the sheets on the bed. Shows them washing the sheets on the bed, and now she takes the shower. So on the top of taking the shower, when she comes out, he's like, hey, I just didn't want to open this bottle without you. He's trying to lure her in. So you like, man, she's nuts. She should be out. But nevertheless, she entertained this conversation, and he asked what you in town for. So she expressed she's in for an interview, and it's like a person who did this like small film. He happens to have watched the small film, knew all about it. So now you like, okay, he's extra sketchy. He knows too much information about what she's actually there for. So did he hack her information? And now you see that where the storyline is going. So nevertheless, he thanked her for having conversation with her. So she went on to sleep, locked the door. In the middle of the night, the door is open. So she hears some mumbling going on. It's Keith in his sleep. Now on the trailer, it makes you think that at that time that it showed that scene, that Keith is in some dark hole somewhere. So nevertheless, Keith is mumbling in his sleep. She wakes him up. He like frantic that she what are you doing? So now he looking at her like she tried to do something to him, and so she like, did you open my door? And he like, no, what are you talking about? So she like, well, my door was open. He said, well, it wasn't me. So nevertheless, she went back in the room, closed the door again, and this time you don't see the next scene until she woke up in the morning. When she wakes up in the morning, Keith is gone. He left a note or whatever. So you like, okay, she gonna make it through this? All right, so you thinking, okay, grab your stuff and roll. Call the management company, whatever it is, grab your stuff and roll. She doesn't grab her stuff. She just grabbed like one little bag or something to go to the interview. And when she goes to the interview, she tells the woman where she's staying at. And the woman looks and she's like, yeah, well, I know it's a convention. And the woman like, what convention? So that was, all right, you looking, okay, that was sketchy on Keith's part. He said it was a convention, right? So the woman's like, hey, you don't need to be staying there. That's a very dangerous area. And she was like, it's cool, the house is all right, all gullible, just like they could have wrote that better. They just could have wrote that better. And they should have had the woman emphasize like, hey, you really don't need to be, that area is X, Y, and Z. It's bad, it's run down. There's no way, I don't care what your finances look like, you definitely need to get in a hotel somewhere or whatever. You definitely don't need to be staying there. But I guess if you're looking at somebody can say, well, when you're down on your luck, you don't got that much money, you just taking whatever you got. No, you can never get that desperate or whatever, because the end result, it cost you your life. So especially for a female, when you got human trafficking and all that type of stuff going on, and you can't afford to be that gullible and nonchalant about making those type of decisions. So from there, she heads back to the Airbnb, and so it's a homeless man. At the time, it looks like he's chasing her. So she hurry up and runs back in the Airbnb, and when she runs in the Airbnb, this time she's like, I'm out. So she grabs her stuff and packing it up, but the basement door is open. So she's like, Keith, are you down there? Like, are you serious? So now this is where the piss me off moment is making, like, this ain't the 80s and this is 2022 and we still making these movies, but making women look so gullible and airhead. The writing could be better. You could have wrote that totally better to not make these women still looking like it's the 80s with like a gullible airhead that would just go and just do that. Now, don't get it twisted. There is some people out here that in real life is still like that, but why? I hate seeing it on screen. So nevertheless, Keith, you down there? So she goes down in the basement, and when the basement door closes, you get locked in. So she gets locked in. She's in the basement, and in the process of being in the basement, she sees a string, and she pulls the string, and this door opens. So when the door opens, she goes in a little bit and see like a room with a cage in it, and then she hurry up, freaked out, ran back, and now she's thinking to pound on the glass. When she go pound on the glass, Keith pops up. So now you really thinking this is all suspect. So he pushes the basement window open and pulls her out. she goes back in the house to get her stuff. So now she's frantic, like, it's a room downstairs. I gotta get going. I gotta get out of here. You know, we gotta go. He like, no, what's going on? So now you like, Keith is so sketchy. He's trying to lure her in. He like, no, I gotta go down there and see. Somebody could be down there. And she like, no, we need to just call the cops and let somebody know. So he like, listen, I just need you to wait here with me. I'm gonna go down there by myself. You wait for me. Just wait, just in case I get locked out of the basement. Now, it's nothing in his mind to say, if I get locked in this basement, I'm gonna kick this damn door down. It's not a steel door or nothing like that. So from there, she waits while Keith goes down there. As she's waiting, guess what? Keith doesn't pop up. So now she is, Keith! So you really pissed off. Like, are you serious? They playing this dumb game. So she goes back down the basement and she goes into the wormhole with the secret passageway. When she goes through there, she doesn't see anything. But Keith pops up. Now, he looked like he's been clocked on the head or something. So he told her, like, we gotta go this way. We gotta go this way. Now you really think like, oh no, Keith really good. He been playing like he was hurt and stuff. He gonna get you down in the back in the Terror Dome and get you out of here. That's what you thinking at the time. But then as she's flashing the light, a woman being pops up, takes Keith's head and smashes it against the wall. And keeps smashing it, so Keith is out of here. So you find out, well, right now, you like, okay, well, Keith wasn't sketchy. They just wrote it that way. So that was good writing that you thought Keith was like part of whatever. And he really could be if it was a part two, you find out. But he did something wrong to the woman Barbarian. So from there, she gets clunked on the head and you don't see her. The scene jumps to, now this is the second half of the film. It jumps to AJ, played by Justin Long. Now he's in Hollywood and stuff like that. He's in the process of doing a movie. But this movie he's in the process of doing, he's going to get let go because he got some accusations of a woman on him. So they kicking him from the movie. So that triggers him to go, that property where Keith and Tess was, that's his property that he has a management company running that runs an Airbnb out of it. So he's headed to that property to get away from everything. And he shows up there, he sees Tess stuff, he sees Keith stuff, and he's calling the management company like, hey, listen, you got people squatting here, or when the last time y'all came here to, look over the property and stuff. So they pretty much was rude and told him kick rocks, and he got off the phone with them. So he goes and party in the city, seen one of his guys that he knew, and they pretty much asked him, hey man, did you really do those allegations? I just want to know. So he kind of alluded to that he did do it. He kind of alluded to that or whatever. Nevertheless, he woke up the next morning throwing up, and as he was throwing up, he seen Tess's bag, and so he started going through her stuff. He found her passcode. He's inside of her computer and everything. And so I forgot what triggered him to go in the basement. But nevertheless, he went in the basement and he found a room or whatever. So the door was open, that secret passageway door. He went in there. And so he went back upstairs to the laptop, typing like underground passages underneath the house and stuff. So that triggered him. Now he wants his measuring stick. He's measuring. He found a room with the cage in it. He got some lights on in there. So he goes from there to dig deeper inside of this underground area in this passageway. So he runs into Tess. And Tess tells him, hey, shh, you don't want to make her upset. He like, what you talking about? Make her upset. And he like, what you talking about making her upset? And he like, who? And she like, her. So then the barbarian woman comes and sticks a bottle, baby bottle, for him to drink it. And he won't drink it. And Tess, then she turned to the Tess, and the Tess drunk it. So then she's like, can't you see? She wants you to be her baby. Now, he did see a video before he ran into Tess showing that, a woman was there trying to breastfeed. There was a video teaching women how to breastfeed their young. And so, from there, so when Tess is telling him like, hey, you need to drink that bottle, he like, yeah, right. So the barbarian woman comes down and approaches him. So he did grab a kitchen knife out of the kitchen, and when he grabbed the knife, he stabbed the barbarian woman, and Tess ran off. So Tess ran off, made it back to the basement, and she started pounding on the basement window that earlier that day Keith seen her in. So when she broke the glass window, the homeless man came and grabbed her and pulled her out. The woman barbarian came out to grab for her, but then went back in. So he was telling her, hey, what you doing in there? You ain't supposed to be in that house. And so now you find out the homeless man wasn't trying to chase after her. He was trying to warn her, don't go in that house or whatever. He's like, man, that house is messed up. And like all types of stuff went on in that house. And he pretty much was like, that woman doesn't come out of the house during the daytime. She only comes out at night. And so she was like, we got to go back and help him. He like, I'm not going back in there. And she's like, well, we got to go get help. And he's like, nah, you could go back in there, but I'm not. And if you're around here, long as you're not around here when nighttime comes. Because when nighttime comes, she's coming out that house. So she walks off and she walks into a neighborhood where a store was at. And then she was asking the people, do you have a phone? So now you think, okay, we getting somewhere. She calls the cops show up. The cops don't believe her. They look at her like she's on drugs and she's a crazy person. And she was like, are you listening to what I told you? Somebody, I escaped and somebody could need help. Y'all need to help him. And at first you just thought they was gonna brush off, but they didn't. They went to the place and was looking around. However, of course, she didn't have no keys and everything like that, and they didn't want to just be doing some breaking or entering, kicking in the door. So they looking around. They don't see anything, so they get a call that some gunshots fired somewhere else. So that triggers them to leave. They pretty much was like, she's like, are you serious? You just gonna leave? And they was like, well, yeah. Because you lucky we don't haul you in. We got other stuff to do pretty much. So they brushed her off. So at this moment, she kicked in the door. She got her keys, her stuff, and then went to the car. So you're thinking, chick, leave. Like, come on, the writing is terrible. What are you, what we doing? What we doing here? You know, so, she remembered the guy said that the woman comes out at night. So she sit there and waited. And when the woman came out at night, She came out flying out the door. She hurried up and rammed her with the car and pinned her against the house. Meanwhile, she ran in to go look for AJ, found him, but at this time, it was a moment that took place. AJ was experiencing on his end, he seen a man that was down there. So it was a moment in the film that it went back in the time. It was this man, he was kidnapping women. He was a spooky man and his neighbor. It was showing the neighborhood when it was like more prominent or whatever, and everybody lived in the neighborhood. And it was showing a man, his neighbor, pretty much saying, "Hey, we getting out of the area. The area's getting bad. You know, basically, you need to sell your house too." This creepy man was pretty much taking women and kidnapping them or whatever. So you don't know this at the time. You just know he's sketchy. And he's playing as a person like a serviceman to get into women that live by themselves, houses and stuff like that. And so you find out that, and then you see this. I guess this is the man at the end where AJ finds him. It was like, "Hey man, what's wrong with you?" Like he's trying to give him help, and he's sickly, and so the man is fiddling for something, and he gets a gun, and you thinking he gonna shoot AJ, but he shoots himself. So AJ took this gun, and so when Tess went down there looking for him, he thought Tess was the barbarian woman and shot Tess or whatever. So now Tess is wounded. He picks Tess up, helps her get out, but when he helps her get out, she comes out and says, "Hey, she's not here. I had her pinned against the wall. She's not here." So at this moment, Tess, they going up the street, and he pretty much like, "And your car is done." They're rolling up the street. Now this is a abandoned area, and so they're headed up the street, and they make it to where the homeless guy was. So the homeless guy had built his own little fortress. He knows she comes out at night, but she doesn't bother him. So when he went in there, he like, "Yo," and he was like, AJ was saying to the homeless man, "We need to get help." He's pretty much like, "No, we can't go out there at night because she out there, she crazy, and she's strong as heck. So we're safe in here." And it was like, "What do you mean we safe? Why would we be safe in here?" And he was like, "Man, I've been here for such and such years. She ain't never bothered me." Right as he said that moment, the mother barbarian came in there, jumped into his little hut, ripped and killed him. And basically she going after him because she looks at Tess as her baby, and he took her from her. So now at this moment, Tess and AJ is running from the woman, but AJ does have a gun. This goofball he fumbles the gun and it falls off the roof. Now this is where you see the dirt bag in him. So you have Tess up there and the woman Barbarian. He knows to save himself, he pushed Tess off of the roof. He knows that woman Barbarian is going to protect her child. So the woman Barbarian jumped off the roof as well and cradled Tess so that she could take the fall, and Tess landed on top of her. So when he comes down, he picks up the gun, and he goes over to Tess, and then Tess is like still alive, but she's wounded. So he like, "Oh snap, you still up?" So when he tried to pick her up, he found she was hurt from the fall. So she made a noise. At that moment, the mother Barbarian rose up. Of course, killed AJ, popped his eyeballs out, and so then she went to try to grab Tess, but Tess, every time she grabbed Tess was squint because she was in pain. So the mother Barbarian was alarmed, and she didn't want the baby to be in pain, which is Tess at the time. And so Tess grabbed the gun that he dropped and pretty much put the gun to the woman Barbarian's head, and it went off. The shot went off. So I don't know if there was a post-credit scene after that. That's as much as I got for you. It just could have been written a little better, but that was the movie. Out of my 4-star rating system, I give this movie 2 out of 4 stars. When I think about it, it was frustrating because it could have been written better because a lot of things was unbelievable. Overall, I got through the movie 2 out of 4 stars. If you watched it, let me know if it was a post-credit scene or not. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Till next time.